Hey everyone, this is WobblyWallaby. Today I'm going to discuss the rise and fall of the Auto Attack Rune Master build in Ragnarok Mobile. Auto Attack Rune Masters were once mandatory for taking down legend instances as well as being known as Dev's son due to how unfair it was. In this video, I'll discuss the reasons why I believe the Auto Attack Rune Master build has fallen, why I don't recommend this build anymore, and my journey making this build. I'll also include some brief build overview as well as some footage where I'm taking down some legend bosses and ones that I struggle with. First, I'll go through a timeline of some important patches that led to the build's rise and demise. In 2019, the third job class was released. That includes the Ruin Knight, which introduced Ragnarok Mobile players to sink or swim, which is one of the reasons why the auto attack build was so busted. His damage could scale with magic defense, and later this became one of the best ways to abuse this build with insane magic defense gear and item swapping. In modern times, people use the MDef switch with Yimmers. Here I switched to my MDef build first, which has about 12,000 MDef, then cast Prepare for Elite that has Sink or Swim in it, then switch to my DPS gear to get 94,000 magic attack. So yeah, you can definitely get it to some pretty high values. In addition, the auto attack build scales off physical and magic attack, making 1% deposits incredibly good. Since they add both physical and magic attack, you're benefiting from this twice, which was not true for many other classes at the time. Whales definitely took advantage of this, and this class had an unfair damage advantage over many other classes. Next, in 2020, 4th jobs were released, leading to further improvements to the auto attack build with Rune Master. This gave the build even more tools, including top tier invulnerability with Asphyxia, which gives 8 seconds of invulnerability. Also the Death Awaken for a great increase in penetration percentage and HP percentage, and an increased range of 3 meters with Dimension Slash. Rune Masters were definitely an unfair 4th job with high damage capability and survivability. Next, in September 28, 2021, Legend Museum was introduced. This instance was incredibly tough, and many people relied on Auto Attack Rune Masters to clear floor 1 to 3. It was normal for people to be carried by Rune Masters. Back in the day, Card Tornado Novice Guardian was a popular build too, to the point where Novice Guardians got heavily nerfed in Legend instances by having a 90% wind damage reduction for bosses. Rune Masters also had to deal with high holy damage reductions too, but since you could convert, it was less of a problem. I think this was when Rune Masters were at their peak importance, and I remember being inspired by Whales and striving to become a Rune Master that could carry these instances. Next, in the April 28, 2022 patch, Legend Isles was released. This instance was hard, but not as hard as Legend Museum. I remember clearing Legend Lost Isles in the past with other classes, but relying on an Auto Attack Rune Master to carry for Legend Museum. Despite the high wind damage reduction in Isles as well, Novice Guardians could still do okay in this instance. But this patch also had a big nerf in PvP for Rune Master. Asphyxia did get nerfed, so it wasn't immune to everything, and people started to question whether Rune Master was Dev's favorite son. The favoritism shown to this class was starting to get an impactful nerf. That led to the August 24, 2022 patch, which was when Taekwon was introduced. This class did auto attack and procced high damaging skills, and also had the benefit of self-converting to any element, including Ghost. If people weren't using the Rune Master or Novice Guardian builds, Taekwon was definitely a popular choice for carrying these instances. Taekwon did lack survivability compared to Rune Masters, and is still a problem to this day. However, this new competition was starting to shake up the meta classes for PvE. Next, in the November 21, 2022 patch, Saitama and Genos were introduced to the game as an anime collab with One Punch Man. Both of these classes had potential to deal with Legend Isles and Museum, and probably the first indication that hero classes were going to be busted for PvE. I had used Saitama for a long time, and it definitely carried me a lot in these instances early on. Next, in May 24, 2023, Pawn and Pay Secret Realm was released. I'd say Auto Attack Rune Masters did quite well here, because you can take down tough targets one at a time, and I think this is where Rune Masters excel at. Also, having high invulnerability to deal with the full screen explosions was also great. At its release, I remember being carried by Auto Attack Rune Master since the dragon was very tough and took a long time to kill without one. Next, in the July 18, 2023 patch, Wrathsea was introduced. She was probably one of the first hero classes that was so strong that she didn't even need amazing gear to do well. I made a guide with a 15% deposit accuracy with 7 out of 7 hero level with suboptimal gear, and I was able to solo DPS some legend instances. And this is where the Auto Attack Rune Master's biggest annoyance comes in, getting optimal gear. There's a famous chart that was posted to the unofficial Ragnarok mobile Discord channel. Building a proper Rune Master takes lots of patience and investment, and this is where some people might get upset after spending so much time but not getting any results. Then classes come along like Accuracy, with busted skills that can outperform many classes even without optimal gear, although you do need the runes, which is probably the hardest part of building a hero class. Next, in the patch notes for August 28, 2023, this is the Rise of Infernal Armor, also known as Ronin. Slash Light now lasts for 3 seconds and deals damage once per second. This damage over time is incredible since it deals with the annoying HP shields on legend bosses. This patch caused Ronin to be incredibly good and dominated the meta. Also, one huge advantage over Auto Attack Rune Masters was its ability to hit multiple targets, whereas for Auto Attack Rune Master, unless you have the Baphomet card, you're just hitting one target. Also, if you use Baphomet, you have a huge drop in damage. So I'd say Rune Masters are great at taking down single targets, but not so much at multiple targets like Ronin can. Also, Ronins can also do Sink or Swim and use both physical and magic attacks, so it's quite busted just like Rune Master. Now, Infernal Armor continued to dominate in the November 23, 2023 patch, which introduced White Star Airship. The mobs and bosses were really tough, and dealing AoE was vital. Also, you can inflict statuses onto the mobs and bosses, so stuff like status vulnerability for Ronin helped increase your damage further when you're burning the target. Accuracy was also popular for the Dark Convert strategy as well as the Poison strategy as well. Then in April 29, 2024, Fenrir was introduced. His insane damage made him one of the best auto attackers in the game. This is also without as much gear requirements as Rune Master, but you do need to have 7 out of 7 for the core hero passive. Fenrir can also do AoE, which was another big advantage over Auto Attack Rune Masters. Fenrir was another nail in the coffin for the Auto Attack Rune Master, especially if you liked auto attacking classes. Finally, I'd say in June 24, 2024, with the release of Klitzberg, her damage potential destroyed many classes. She was viable even without optimal gear, and had videos where I clear legend instances with free-to-play only gear and low deposit. I have Auto Attack Rune Master friends who have since moved to Klitzberg or other classes. It really comes down if you can't beat them, just join them, and the trend really is becoming that the new dev's son and daughters are the hero classes. So after all that, why on earth would anyone play Auto Attack Rune Master? Well, a few months back I bought a plus 15 heavens from the exchange. At the time there was a sudden flood of them on global, and I got one for about 1.1 billion. Since then the price has dropped, making them much harder to snap. Having a proper Auto Attack Rune Master has always been a dream of mine, which is why I still invest in this build. Here's my overview of my gear so far. I do lack critical and chance, auto attack and chance, and critical damage percentage. Unfortunately, my Mora has gone into enchants for skill damage users, which is what I normally use, and those enchants do make a huge difference, so definitely get them. Again, this build does take a lot of patience, but you do feel a great sense of satisfaction as your efforts are rewarded over time. Next, here's my shadow equipment, Oracle Mirror and Relic. I also lack the plus 15 slash that many people use, as well as good shadow equipment. Again, there's a big investment for that, and unfortunately I still don't have time to invest in those yet. Next, here's my MDEF gear. I did invest quite a bit in this since Ronin also shares the same gear. When I use this, I have 12,000 MDEF, which makes a huge difference for Sink or Swim. Next, for my Adventure Handbook, I do have 140% deposit, as well as 3,485 attack and 2,986 magic attack, something I'm growing over time. Next, here are my advanced runes as well as my placements. I have the Joint Beat Rune. Next, the Anger Reflux Rune. Next, the Darkness Awakening Star Rune, which is probably the one I rolled the most for getting a high first line as well as the third line. Next, my Death Cage Star Rune. Next, my Fortitude Mark Rune. And finally, my Power Strike Rune. Arcane runes have helped a lot since it was released for Auto Attack Rune Masters. I use the White Blade Rune for killing single enemies. Next, the War Preparedness Rune for helping with getting the HP shield for more survivability, and the Disaster Rune for dealing with mobs. Next, here are my skills. Here are my Swordsman skills, my Knight skills, my Lord Knight skills, and my Rune Knight skills. In Prepare for Elite, I have Endure, One Hand Quicken, Head Crush, Concentration, Lord Zora, Enchant Blade, and Sink or Swim. The build remains nearly unchanged since last time I made a video on this, but now due to the recent buff, I do cast Abyss Rival right away to get the 15% auto attack damage, which is huge. Next, here's some legend footage to also show you that despite having some good gear and deposit, that doesn't mean I can destroy legend instances easy peasy. Now for the Golem, this was an easy one, since he's a single target with summons that you can easily move away from, but also ignore. Due to the damage cap per hit, the Golem doesn't go down super quickly despite the high numbers, and this is where damage over time is much more efficient. Next is the Sea Spirit Totem, which is also kinda easy since he's a single target. I do take him down pretty quickly. Next is floor 3, and this is where I find the struggle is real. Like all the previous bosses, I do the MDef switch before Sink or Swim to get the huge boost. The Demonic Overseer is fine by himself, but the hardest part is dealing with the mobs. They are annoying to deal with without great AoE. After failing a few times, I overcome this by switching to my Magic Dragon Breath, which I think is honestly a lot closer to Ronin or Klitzberg for high DPS and also high damage frequency. I also made a guide on this, and I'll put the link in the description. This build is able to shred through bosses, and also does quite well against mobs due to its AoE. But sadly my 30 seconds was up, and doing an MDef switch in the middle is kind of annoying mid-fight. This is one of the reasons why I switched to Klitzberg to avoid switching. This boss is much easier with Magic Dragon Breath. Again, AoE and high damage frequency is just more efficient. Next, I had similar problems with the Legend Dragon and Museum. I really did not like dealing with these spawn dragons, which was just really annoying and inefficient since I'm stuck hitting one target at a time. I also don't think I hit hard enough to clear this super quickly, and I do not have the HP relic to keep me alive either. I tried this quite a few times, and it's definitely frustrating since it was really hard dealing with multiple targets like this. Again, I rage quit and switched to my Magic Dragon Breath, and the dragon and his summons go down much quicker than before. I think the Magic Dragon Breath is superior and is closer to the Ronin or Klitzberg style of playing, which is basically shredding everything with AoE. To sum it up, I think Auto Attack Rune Masters just aren't efficient in terms of taking down multiple bosses or mobs, and its gears need to be optimized to really notice a huge difference. Many of the hero classes released are more efficient, so I think hero classes' efficiency in gearing up and doing AoE damage has made Auto Attack Rune Masters feel really bad to play. Especially with White Star Airship, I think being efficient in dealing with groups of targets is a must, which is why I don't recommend Auto Attack Rune Masters anymore. What are your thoughts on this build? Let me know in the comments section. If you enjoyed this video, please like, comment, and subscribe. Here's a video that I would recommend, and if you want more Rune Master guides, check out this playlist over here.